Hey everyone, Mo here, and before the video begins, I just want to let you guys know that my schedule has opened up for me to do coaching again. So if you're interested in private one-on-one coaching for me to help you, whether you're a newer player and you want to excel at the game very quickly and learn the fundamentals without developing any bad habits early, or if you're an experienced player who's already maybe platinum or diamond in your top 1%, but you need some help filling in the gap to get you to that 0.01%, to make you just some of the best, then hit me up on Discord and I can get you in some private one-on-one coaching lessons to help you polish up any skills you want to refine and help you learn all of the secrets to becoming a top player. That's it. I hope you enjoy the video. Hey everybody, Mo here, and this week I'm bringing you guys another Meta Monday video, so I'll be going over the most played decks in the meta, their win rates, we have some new guys shining up that came up this week, and then I'll give you guys, of course, the dark horse, or the deck that's being not played too often that I think is going to do really, really well in the meta, that just isn't seeing very much play. So that's it. Before we actually get into the Meta Monday, I want to remind you guys that 60% of the people that watch my videos aren't actually subscribed to me. So if you all could do me a huge favor and click the subscribe button, it just helps me out so much with the YouTube algorithm, and it helps me keep doing this. So that's it for the intro. Let's go ahead and get into this Meta Monday. So the first thing we're going to go over is just the top 9 decks like we do every week. On play rate, talk about their win rate, maybe why they kind of popped up. We'll see some new decks, we'll see some old decks. So we'll just start at the top and go to the bottom. So first 2 decks are Zoe, Nami, and Draven Sion. They've been there. They're the kings and queens. We know this by now. We know Zoe Nami is the most played deck, and then Draven Sion is the second most played deck. It's been that way for the last 3 weeks. However, this time the win rate's kind of switched. So Zoe Nami is the one sitting at a 55% win rate, while Draven Sion actually skyrocketed up to a 58% win rate, which is really, really nuts. We see JO1 here is the number 1 player, and he has a 75% win rate on the deck. This deck is, the Draven Sion deck is extremely solid and really, really just consistent. It's extremely consistent. You don't need to high roll like one champion or draw like an exact way or anything like that at all. It's just, you draw any amount of cards, it's going to be extremely average all the time, and then as soon as you draw your Lost Soul, then you're looking really, really good. Whereas Zoe Nami, it has a lower win rate at 55%, and that's because a lot of people feel like if you don't have the exact opener of Double Trouble into like Moon Weapon Nami, then if you don't have that, then the deck sucks, right? And that's not necessarily true. The difference is it's actually just harder to play. Because I see a lot of mistakes when people are playing Zoe and Nami. They're like, oh, I have Nami, I play Nami on 4 every time. And that's not always true. You don't always just want to be slamming Nami on 4. If you're playing Nami but don't have any units in play, it doesn't really do too much, right? So slamming Nami on 4 isn't the best thing. I think once people try and figure out how to play the deck correctly, you'll see the people that do play the deck really well have these insane win rates, like 77 win rate, like 77, like these high 70% win rates on the players that do well. And this deck actually reminds me so much of TF and Ezreal, especially TF where you would have, the deck itself would have like a 55, 56% win rate overall. But that's because you had a bunch of people that knew how to go like, okay, blah, 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 play TF on 4, blue card, what was it, pick a card, right? And you're like, okay, I leveled my TF on turn 5, I win. But if they didn't have that exact opener, they would feel really, really weird and wouldn't actually know how to win consistently. Whereas the people that did know how to play TF really, really well, like Drizoth, ended the season with over 100 games played at an 80% win rate. So this is exactly what Zoe Nami reminds me of. Same thing with Ezreal. We saw people like Darkodius, Manesia, Monty have these insane win rates on the deck. Meanwhile, everyone else kind of plateaued out at like a 56 to 57% win rate on average, and they were sitting there with 75+% win rate with hundreds of games on the deck. So it's one of those decks where you actually have to learn how to win with the not perfect hands. Because the perfect hands are really easy and they play themselves. But winning with the not perfect hands is really what's going to separate the like 55% win rate Zoe Nami players to the like 75+% win rate Zoe Nami players. But don't get me wrong, having a 55% win rate is still really, really good. I mean, that's the win rate that Riot said they start looking at decks to make sure if they're problematic or not. We just saw Ruben Zhu did an interview or like an informational stream yesterday where he said like, the best thing to do most of the time is not kill Nami, but usually kill the elusives. Lost Soul is probably problematic, stuff like that. We saw him say like Telescope isn't going to find himself anymore. So I'll say, so we did, Riot is going to be looking at this 55% win rate and these 58% win rate decks like this. I would expect a Lost Soul nerf. We don't have any scheduled patches before seasonals, so they would have to throw in another surprise patch. And if they did, I would just assume it's going to be like a Lost Soul nerf. And then that fix where Telescope can't find itself anymore. So that was the number 1 and 2. Number 3 deck. This one, I believe it popped up on the top... It popped up on the top 9 played last week, but it's popped all the way up to number 3, and this deck was super represented at Worlds. Of course, this is the week right after Worlds. Congrats to Alan for Worlds. Congrats to Yamato for 2nd place, Jordan for 4th, and Shihu for 3rd. Congrats to all the top 4 players at Worlds. They did amazing. But this, people call it like... Poke City or Pokey City or something like that, where it's basically just a bunch of pings and you just kind of like slowly burn out your opponent and then eventually end them with double ups and leveled Gangplanks and stuff like that. This deck was super represented. We see the top players here, 76% win rate, JO1 with the 71% win rate. This deck's actually a lot better than I thought it was because it just has so much resilience and so much consistent burn that you have a good way to get early burn damage fast, and then you kind of just like stall for a minute until you do get that Gangplank or you do get that double up or something like that for those just insanely quick amounts of burn damage that's just not stoppable. And right now the only decks that have heal is Zoe Nami, and if they don't have the like level Nami on 4, play my Sparklefly attack, then you can probably just kill them. Because these decks don't play healing, all you have to do is deal that 20 damage, and that's extremely easy to do when your entire deck is nothing but burn damage. And speaking of a deck that's nothing but burn damage, the number 4 deck here is Poppy Ziggs. So this deck came out of nowhere. It was not in the top 10 last week. It wasn't even on my radar last Meta Monday, or I would have told you guys about it. But Poppy Ziggs apparently has been absolutely nuts for some players. I know somebody that had an 82% win rate going all the way from Diamond 4 to like Mid-Masters a couple days ago. I've tried the deck out a little bit. I personally haven't had much success with it, but I think I just need to practice. I've only played like maybe 10 games on it, so I just need to practice more with the deck. But you see here, like this Anarchy has 80% win rate on the deck. So people are 80%, 76%, 73%. You know, everybody over has the top 5 players all have over a 73% win rate on the deck. So it's a very, very strong deck. 57% win rate, almost the same win rate as Draven Sion. So it just has, you know, 1,000 less games, but has, you know, 1% or not even 0.4% less win rate than this deck that people are complaining is super broken. So I think this deck is going to pop off really, really hard. For those of you that haven't seen the deck, we'll go and look at the 80% win rate player. It's basically just pirates. I mean, it's just Zoomer pirates. It's new. It's, you know, you play your early game Swarm, and then you have your top end of Fervor Decimate. This deck has so much direct damage. Everything in this deck is direct damage. Like, direct damage. This isn't direct damage, but it's big enough to where it at least kills stuff. Direct damage. This finds you direct damage. Direct damage, direct damage. This is just a broken card. Direct damage, direct damage. Direct damage, and then this makes everything big enough so it doesn't get killed. And then obviously you have your burn spells, which is direct damage. And then, again, we're in a meta where nothing has healing outside of exactly Zoe Nami, and not very many things can deal with Swarm very well. Like, Zoe Nami can't deal with Swarm well. They have to have exactly double trouble, and then they're not leveling their Nami on 4. You know, sometimes that's enough for them to buy time to go ahead and beat you, for sure. But it's good if you can force them to not just go, like, pass, right? Double trouble on 3. That's really, really good. So this deck is extremely strong right now, and it's definitely just destroying a lot of these slower decks, or the greedier decks, or any deck that doesn't run healing. Just by being able to go like, okay, I don't care what you're doing, I'm not interacting with you. If you're not killing me by turn 6 or so, then I'm just going to go burn, 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 burn. That's really good. Number 5 we have coming in is Darkness at 52% rate. I think this is higher than it was last week. Darkness is just a really bad deck. People just are, I don't know. I'm still on the train of Darkness is a bad deck. And people are going to say, but Mo, Darkness had a 100% win rate at Worlds. It's like, yes, the one player that was probably the best player at Worlds. I think they played the best at Worlds. Had a 100% win rate with Darkness. And this is what I said when I talk about Darkness is good if you can play it with 0 mistakes and draw decently. If you can play it like literally perfectly, then Darkness is a good deck. Until then, all you have to do is like, if your opponent makes less mistakes than you, or if you draw semi-poor, the deck is just bad. So all you have to do is draw or make less mistakes than your opponent. I guess that makes you good. So if you can make less mistakes than your opponent, then go ahead and play Darkness. That sounds good. If you're playing against Darkness, just don't make mistakes and don't get greedy, and you win the game. So I'll just stand behind Darkness, still just being a not good deck. Has barely squeaking out the 52% win rate. I mean, that's like barely a higher win rate than something like Lurk has. It's 2% higher than Lurk, so I don't know. I'm sure you can find a bunch of decks that have the same win rate as Viger. I just think that deck is really, really bad, and people will just keep feeding me LP as long as I run into it on ladder. Number 6 we have is Bandle Tree. Bandle Tree is still Bandle Tree. It's 53% win rate. It's, okay. The same boat as Darkness as far as win rate goes. So nothing too crazy there. The sad thing about Tree is it's kind of getting side hard countered because everything that beats or supposedly beats Zoe Nami also just beats Tree, because the number one thing that beats Bandle Tree are rally decks, like decks that swarm you and then rally and then kill you again on the rally. And that's exactly what beats Zoe Nami, is you build up a board and then you rally, and then that's how you beat them, is just by applying like sick pressure. And unfortunately, Bandle Tree loses to that exact same play style. So because so many people are out there trying to hard counter and target Zoe Nami, Bandle Tree is actually just getting side hit from that. So you're going to see the play rate go way down, because if you're going to play a deck that already loses to that play style, you might as well just play the better deck in Zoe Nami. Coming in these last 3 spots here is Ezreal Vi. So this is the Shellfolk deck, I'm assuming, that Alan brought and won Worlds with. Yeah, so Curious Shellfolk. This deck was banned all but 1 games, I believe, or all but 1 match, and then he ended up winning the 1 game that was played. So technically 100% win rate at Worlds. It was 100% win or ban rate. So that's pretty cool. It has a 49% win rate. I'm not too sure about the deck. I think it's an okay deck. I don't know if it's ever just better or worse than like Caitlyn Draven. So I haven't played the deck too much, but I mean, it seems fine. Alan trusted it enough to take it 2 Worlds. It got his opponents, didn't want to play against it enough to ban it all but 1 match from him during top 16. So yeah, I mean, it's very much just a value, like, I'm going to control the board until I either win with Ezreal or win with Vi style deck. You get, if Curious Shellfolk does hit the board and does stay around for even like 1 full turn, you get so much value out of this Curious Shellfolk that the game is probably over. Shellfolk is just such a nasty card. It's a really, really nasty card. So I think this card will eventually get nerfed, and I'm counting down the days. Like, you heard it here first, Shellfolk is going to get nerfed. It's either going to create like a fleeting copy of the card that you picked, or make it not reduce the cost, or both, or something like that. But yeah, Curious Shellfolk's going to eventually get nerfed. I'm surprised it took people this long to play it. To play the card. I kind of haven't said anything because I didn't want people to be playing Shellfolk against me during Worlds, but now obviously I'm not in Worlds, so congrats to Alan for figuring out that Shellfolk is nuts. I believe it was Panda that like found the deck and then kind of taught Alan how to play it and gave it to Alan and stuff like that. But Ezreal Vi, this win rate will go up, the play rate will go up, especially since Alan won Worlds with it. People are going to look at, things like Darkness and Vi, Ezreal, and be like, oh, these decks like got 1 and 2 at Worlds, must play them, must try them out. So yep, be prepared to play around a lot of Shellfolk. The last 2 decks here, we have Lurk and then Zed Poppy. So Lurk, not doing very good. It's doing better than last week. I know that. I know last week it had like a sub 50% win rate. So it has a 50% win rate right now. It's still not good. Lurk is still just a bad deck. Stop playing Lurk. It's just a high roll deck. If you draw well, then you get there something. You basically have to hit Lurk every turn while also drawing 3 plus 1 drops. And if your deck is only good if you draw 3 plus 1 drops, literally just play Pirates. Like, if that is the only way your game wins, is if you draw champions and have triple 1 drop, then you're literally better off just playing like the Ziggs Poppy deck, where if you open triple 1 drop and then draw a Poppy, you win the game. Same thing here. It's just more consistent than Lurk and has a lot more win cons. So that's really nice. And then the 9th deck is Zed Poppy, where this deck actually has a 56% win rate, which I believe, yeah, this is the highest or second highest win rate. Oh, sorry, 3rd highest, right behind the Ziggs Poppy and the Draven Sion. So 3rd highest win rate. I wonder if this is the elusive version, or yep. So this is basically just like the deck I won seasonals with, where instead of playing Lulu Poppy with the elusives and buffs and rallies and stuff like that, you're playing Zed Poppy instead of Zed Lulu, because Poppy just came out and Poppy does essentially what Lulu does but better. So Lulu's plan was just to like, buff like 1 small unit up and then
you rally and you know usually buff and elusive up and then rally and you take that advantage. The way Poppy works is you attack with Poppy and it buffs everything up, and then you rally and stuff like that. A lot of people were saying, oh, just play Poppy Lulu. Poppy Lulu is just non-synergistic. Also, Lulu requires you to have a second unit in play, whereas Zed, it can be a solo carry on his own in some matchups. Like, for instance, against Control, you kind of want to have that Zed in play, because if they can't kill Zed with because of your twin disciplines when you're sharp side or something like that, then Zed alone can win you games, whereas Lulu alone can't really do much. And if you're against a hard removal deck like Draven Caitlyn, and they're starting to like pinging off all of your units, then Lulu's not going to do much. It's just a 3-mana 3/3, which feels kind of bad. And then on top of that, like I was telling you, Lulu Poppy is anti-synergistic because Poppy makes everything +1/+1. And the closer things are to that 4 attack and 4 health threshold for Lulu, the worse Lulu is. Like, Lulu is obviously the best when she's buffing a 0/1, because then you're getting the full +4/+3 stat line. Well, when Poppy attacks, that 0/1 becomes a 1/2 now. So you're only getting a +3/+2 from Lulu. And, you know, the more you attack with Poppy and stuff like that, then the less they actually work well together. Of course, at that point, if you have 2 champions in play, it can only matter so much. But because they do the exact same job, and Zed can double as a solo champion, it doesn't need anything there to support him, as well as its own win condition. I personally like Zed Poppy, and I'm glad to see that, you know, the stats also say Zed Poppy is being more played and doing better with the 56.5% win rate. So that's it for the top 9 meta decks. Now I'm going to just end the video off with telling you what deck I think is super underplayed and super underrated right now that should do really, really well on ladder, and that's actually Field Rush. I don't have an exact list to show you right here, but it's probably something really close to Shihu's list. Here's a Field Rush list right here. Is this about it? No, this is not it at all. Don't do that list. I don't know what that list is. Don't do that. But I'll get you a list. It'll be in the link in the description below. But basically, Despair is an extremely nuts card against Zoe Nami. Yeah, so Field Rush looks really, really good into just about everything. You have Avalanches and Blighted Ravines and Withering Whales to deal with the Swarm from things like the Ziggs Poppy Swarm deck. You have Despair to kill Nami, which is super, super nuts. For those of you that don't know, Despair, I believe, is a 4-mana card or a 5-mana card that says a unit deals damage to your Nexus, strikes your Nexus, and then you kill it. So it's really good against Nami, because the problem a lot of decks have with Nami Zoe is they try and do things like get excited or tri-beam or flock and do all these like damaging spells to kill it, and then people just go like, okay, Sunblessed Vigor, Pale Cascade, Guiding Touch, stuff like that to keep the Nami alive the entire time. And the way Despair works is it doesn't matter how many times they buff the HP with things like Sunblessed Vigor or Pale Cascade, you're still just going to take 3 damage from the Nami or 4 damage if they Pale Cascade, and then Nami dies, and that's absolutely humongous. On top of that, you do play a shit ton of the like Avalanche and Blighted Ravines, so it does get easier to kill off these like Sparkleflies and Zoes and Burblefish. Once you get rid of this Nami, it's really, really easy for you to deal with these 1-for-1s, because they only play, you know, like 9 units, you know, 12 total outside of the Nami that you kill with, and you playing the Box and Grasp and Avalanche and Blighted Ravine, it becomes really, really easy to just straight up run Zoe Nami out of threats, and then you go, okay, play Field Rush, I have 20 damage on the board, deal with it, right? And they can't really deal with giant Overwhelm units. You know, I've been telling you, Overwhelm is an insane keyword for a very long time now, and what does, you know, Field Rush do? It wins with 20 plus Overwhelm damage. Just, you know, kind of does it all in one turn. So I think Field Rush is an absolutely nuts deck. We saw Shihu bring it in Worlds, and every single time he played the deck, it looked amazing. His build was a little bit weird. I wouldn't go with 100% of what Shihu built. I'd probably throw in Frostbites, because then your Draven Sion matchup is just stupid easy, because all you do is just, you can go like Ruination or something, and then if they level Sion, you can just like Frostbite it, or Ice Veil Archers, and find a way to Frostbite the Sion. And now Sion is basically an irrelevant threat. That's one of the best ways you can actually deal with Sion, and it feels really, really good. Your main issue, I believe, is just going to be the big rally decks that play like Ranger's Resolve. So the Poppy Lulu style with like the Poppy Lulu where it's Demacia Bandle and they're playing Yordle Arms and stuff like that, you have a hard time dealing with. Even the Poppy Zed decks where they just play a bunch of units, because what ends up happening is you go to Avalanche and then they just go like, okay, Ranger's Resolve, nothing dies, and then now I'm just going to attack you because you used all your mana and I have a rally. So against the rally decks it feels not that great, but against all these top decks like Ping City, Aggro, Zoe Nami, Draven Sion, Darkness, like Rek'Sai, like Lurk, stuff like that. Like, you're going to have a hard time against Bandle Tree because you can't actually kill Bandle Tree. But you should just absolutely dominate Vi Ezreal because the only cards that matter are, like, Shellfolk. And so you just go like, okay, kill your Shellfolk, kill your Ezreal, kill your Vi, stuff like that, and it should become extremely easy for you to win. So that's going to be it for this Meta Monday video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below if you want me to keep doing these Meta Monday videos, and then let me know what deck guides or anything like that you want to see. If you want to see me play decks or do deck guides on the newer decks that are like Ziggs Poppy, Ezreal Vi, the Poke City style deck, I would love to do things like that. So just let me know what you guys are interested in. And that's going to be it for the video. Make sure to join my Discord. Link will be in the description below. Go ahead and subscribe here and go follow me on Twitch because I stream on there almost every single day. That's it for the video. I'll see you guys in the next one.